Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. I am here in my own little kitchen and I am going to record myself making this dinner called Hawaiian sausage. Sharon Wilson, I hope you pay attention because you've been asking me about this recipe and saying that you can't get it right. So this is going to be a video tutorial of how to do it. This is something that my grandmother used to make a long time ago, and I always thought it was delicious. And over the years, I've added stuff and taken stuff away. So we are going to make some Hawaiian sausage. All right. All right. First, I want to show you all that you need to make sure that you have all your ingredients. Hawaiian sausage calls for beef smoked sausage. Chicken, I usually use chicken breast, but you can use chicken thigh, whatever. It calls for green pepper, maybe a red pepper for color. That's about it. That's all it's going to do. An onion, and then pineapple. You don't have to use fresh pineapple, but since this fresh pineapple was cheaper than the canned one, it's fine. I'm going to show you how to cut it if you don't know how to cut it. It also calls for garlic and a little bit of ginger. And then the spices that you're going to use in the sauce is going to be soy sauce, a little garlic powder, a little onion powder. I like to use some Mrs. Dash, and of course, you know, what I always recommend, kosher salt. The reason why the ramen noodles are here is because I'm not big on pasta, and when I make this dish, we've tried it over rice and we've tried it over by itself. To me, it tastes better over the ramen, but you know, it goes well over rice and it also goes well over the noodles. You can use spaghetti or fettuccine, whatever type noodle you like, it goes over well. I think it actually goes over better with pasta than it does with rice because the rice absorbs all the sauce, so it doesn't really isn't as juicy as it should be, I should say that. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start with cutting the chicken. This is my little friend right here. This is my chef's knife. It's a 8-inch blade. I always keep it extremely sharp. Have a knife sharpener here. Doesn't hurt to drag it through a couple of times just to make sure, because it's sharp, because your best equipment in your kitchen is a sharp knife. Dull knives will hurt you. Something I learned from school. Your hands are clean, of course, so you have your bowls because you're going to separate the meats. We're going to cut the chicken into, well, first we're going to try to trim off this fat because we don't really need that. So you're going to cut your chicken into tiny cubes because it's going to sit in the pineapple juice for I'd say about 20 minutes before you're ready to cook it. Okay, as I was saying, we're going to cut the chicken into little cubes. This chicken is slightly frozen because that's kind of the way I kind of prefer to cut it. So it's easier. Oh yeah, I don't know if you guys know about how to hold your knives so that it's easier and you don't cut yourselves. But you see how I'm gripping it with my knuckle right here and my thumb on this way? That gives me more control of the knife instead of using my finger, which can actually start to hurt you. That's something else we learned. Just sharing a little tidbit. Okay. My trusty little cutting board that I've had forever. It's my favorite. It's kind of worn out, but that's what happens when it's your favorite. Now, with my family, since it's only 3 of us, this chicken is like, this is 1.5 breasts, which is going to be enough because the meal is going to be full of sausages and different vegetables. So I use about 1.5 or 2 breasts, depending on how large the breasts are. If they're pretty large, I'll use 1.5, maybe 1. So we're going to set that chicken to the side. Okay, so now that we've cut the chicken, I'm going to cut the sausage. The sausage I use more than I do chicken because that's the main protein that the kids like in this one. And it's going to be cut into quarters. So just cut it right out the package like that, whatever. Yes, I had to stop the video to make sure I washed off my cutting board because guess what? You don't want chicken, raw chicken everywhere. So this you're just going to cut in the quarters. I have a tiny kitchen and a tiny kitchen space. So you guys are going to have to bear with me. This is California. Unless you have like a ton of money, you aren't even getting a whole lot of space. And even if you do have a ton of money, you're still not getting a whole lot of space. So bear with me. The reason why I'm separating the chicken from the sausage is because, like I said, the sausages, the chicken is going to soak in pineapple juice for a minute while we brown the sausages and chop up our vegetables. So we're just going to set that to the side. Now, in a professional kitchen, yes, I would just go ahead and flip that over because I'm not going to use the other side for meat. Now comes the fun part of chopping all your vegetables. And since I'm using fresh pineapple today, I'm going to go ahead and do this first. Okay? Fresh pineapple is really easy to cut if you've never cut it. So, alright, has a fresh pineapple. What you're going to do is cut off your base. So, like that, you can be able to stand it. That's what you should do with all large pieces of fruit that you're cutting, is cut off the base so it can stand up. Cut off the top. We don't need it because we're not going to decorate anything with it, although it does come in handy, like if you're making a fruit salad or something for someone. Pineapple, you just go against the grain all the way around. Try not to get too deep into the flesh of the pineapple because that's the fruit. And, you know, a lot of vegetables are cheaper. Fruits and vegetables are cheaper but a lot of people are intimidated to buy them that way because they don't know how to cut them. They think it's too much work. It's really not. So what you're going to do is just go around and clean up and get all that little pricklies off. This is not the ripest pineapple. I'm looking at it right now. It's kind of pale. So that's probably why it's so cheap. Okay. Now, cutting the pineapple. What you're going to do is come down. What you're looking for is this in the middle. This core right here, you're going to cut around it. So you can cut it on this side, come around, and then you have like a little bit left, and that's it. You're not going to eat the core because it's hard. And I'm going to take this chop it up. Well, this is not very juicy, so I might just have to blend it up a little bit, get me some juice out of here. Yeah, this isn't very right. It's alright though. We're gonna make it do what it do. I'm going to put this in this big red bowl because that's going to be cooked in later. Even though it's still not very ripe, we're still going to use it. And what I'm going to do is pull out my little miniature food processor and process it down a little bit, see if I can get some juice out of it. Alright. Yeah, I wash my hands a lot. Alright, green pepper. Now, best way to cut a green pepper is to cut that top off, pop that middle out, because all this is stuff you can still use. All you don't want is the seeds in the middle. So, and what I'm doing is I'm cutting around the ribs. These are the ribs. So you just want to clean that out. Watch your fingers. And that's your whole green pepper without wasting it. Now we're just going to slice this into julienne slices. And that's your whole green pepper, and you didn't waste anything. Whole green pepper, and you didn't waste anything. Alright, we're going to put that in this bowl because all the vegetables get sauteed together. Red pepper, same thing. You're going to cut off the top, pull out the middle. Red pepper kind of built a little bit different. Like this, you can still use this because all you're going to do is pop out that. And it's still usable. Waste not, want not. Same thing, julienne it. The rib, clean it up. The red pepper is more for color because it's just another pepper. It's not like it's adding a new flavor or anything, but it's just more for color to make it pretty. Put that in your bowl. Alright, onion. A lot of people do not like cutting onions because they burn your eyes. I'm kind of immune to it right now. I don't know why that is, probably because I've been using them for so long. But with an onion, unless you're gonna like make a vegetable broth later, cut off the top. Show you how they taught us at school. Cut it in half. peel off the extra layer. And then you're just going to chop that. Bowl. See, what you guys didn't notice is I was holding on to this part right here to keep from cutting my fingers. Okay, that's in the bowl. Now we need some fresh garlic. I always keep fresh garlic on hand because it's just one of my favorite things. I always get the garlic that have the bigger pieces because God knows when you have to fight through the little pieces, it's annoying. A lot of people have different ways online on how to peel your garlic. This is just the way I do it. Just smash it real quick. Get that husk off. And let's chop the rest of it. That's it with the garlic. Add it with the rest of the vegetables. The only thing you have to cut now is the ginger. But we're not going to exactly use a lot of that because ginger is very strong. So I'm going to peel some. And actually there's a way that you're supposed to do this. But since I don't want large chunks of ginger, I'm not going to do it that way. Because normally what I would do is hold it just like the garlic, smash it. But I'm going to grate it because I only want a little bit. Some people don't like big chunks of ginger. I'm one of them. I love ginger, but spicy spice. Spicy spice. Okay. Alright, put that in the bowl with the vegetables. Okay. So, right now I'm going to pull down my little miniature food processor. It's been broken. It's been dropped. Everything you could think of has happened to this thing, but it's stuck through it with me. So, still my little buddy. One of these days I'll get a larger one, but finances are finances. Throw a handful of that pineapple in there. Alright. And since I'm going to throw that in with the chicken, mix that around. And while we are waiting for that to marinate a little bit, unfortunately I cut the vegetables kind of fast there. So what we're going to do next is heat up our pan and get ready to get going with the meats. So this is my bowl of vegetables. It may not seem like a lot, but it's going to be enough for 3 people. And here's the chicken. Now, what I normally do add to the chicken is I always add like a little bit of Mrs. Dash to it. I don't know why. I just like it. Okay, so I'm heating up my pan. As you can see, my favorite pan to use is my cast iron skillet. It's well seasoned. The way you keep one well seasoned is to never wash it with soap and water. You can get yourself like a little scrubber just to scrub it out after each time you use it, but never use soap and water because that's where you lose your seasoning. You can make it a non-stick pan if you want to. Now, the reason why I have to keep stopping the video is because I'm adding stuff and doing stuff, and it's kind of hard with one hand here. So yeah, my pan is smoking hot, and the reason my butter's not burning, what you see is like the seasoning from the pan. It's going to do that, but yeah. So what I added was 2 tablespoons of butter, and now that it's nice and hot, you're going to saute that sausage. Just dump it in there, because what we're really going to do is it's already cooked, so what you really want to do is just brown it, and then you're going to let it sit there. Okay. Now, the other thing I forgot to tell you guys about is the sauce. So, the sauce is what really makes it really good. The sauce gives it that kick. So, what we need for that sauce is a fresh bowl. And we're going to use some hot water. Doesn't have to be boiling. Depending on how much you want to make for your family, like 1 cup is good enough. 1.5 cups of hot water. So here's the little cheat that I use for this. Of course, I'm not really good at measuring stuff out, so I would say about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, or maybe 3. We're going to use the flavor packets out. I know it's bad for you, but this one gives it a little kick too. And these actually should be cooking, because this meal does not take long, as you can see. Sharon, pay attention, because this is, I think, where you mess yourself up with this one. Like, normally 2 packs is good. And, yes, a little onion powder. If I had to measure it, I'd say about a teaspoon, maybe. Add a little garlic powder, about the same. And, of course, Miss Dash. I add a little beef bouillon. 1 cube is good enough. And just let that soak in the hot water while your sausage is cooking. Now, to thicken the sauce up, we're going to use cornstarch. Cornstarch is gluten-free. And doesn't have that heavy taste as flour as a thickener. I'm gonna get my noodles on. Not going to do anything special to the noodles. Just cook them. this stuff. I want to make sure that that bouillon cube is melting down. Well, you can always taste it because it's not like there's any meat or anything in it. That's good. I don't know. We got a little ghost in here that likes to play. Alright. So, the sausage is pretty much done. Like I said, we weren't going to do a whole lot to it. So, we're going to take that out of that pan. Okay, so this is what it should look like. Not too cooked, just enough. And now in that butter, I'm going to add the chicken. The butter that's in the pan. I'm going to cook that up real good. So, besides the vegetables, the meat's really only cooking about 2 tablespoons of butter. Because you don't want it too fattening. You could also use olive oil, at your choice. So, I'm going to let that cook. I got my noodles cooking. And now I'm going to start heating up my wok. So I'm saying little kitchen, don't have a space for all this stuff. The reason why I want that wok nice and hot is because that's how I'm going to saute the vegetables, and then I'm going to add the meats to it and mix it all together and then add the sauce. And then dinner. So that chicken is coming along pretty good there. You don't want to overcook it because guess what? It's still going to cook in the sauce. You want it to be done, but you don't want it to be overcooked and dried out because it is chicken breast. But if you were using like chicken thigh, I'd still say the same. Don't overcook it. And what you heard was that sizzle of my wok, which is telling me it's really nice and hot. One thing I did forget though was to add tomatoes. Now these are grape tomatoes, which we have left over. It doesn't matter really what kind of tomatoes you use, but that's going to be the last thing you put in that pan. All right, I've already got the pan heated up for the vegetables with about a tablespoon of butter, so we're just going to dump those in there. That chicken is coming along really well. That's why you want the pan really hot, because you don't want to overcook them or undercook them. You want the vegetables pretty much to be like al dente. You don't want them soggy. So we're going to add the sausage. I wish it had a smell button for this because this smells incredible already. And you're going to turn your flame down. Look how pretty that is already. Alright, so now we're going to transfer the chicken. I know a lot of you are like, oh my god, that chicken's probably not done. It's done. Okay. Now, go mix it. I'm just gonna mix all of this together. Okay. Now we're gonna add some of the pineapple. About a good handful. I'm gonna let that simmer. Like I said, you don't want the vegetables super soft. You just want them like crunchy just enough. Okay, so that's coming along really, really well. Remember how I said I don't clean my pan with soap and water? What I do while it's still hot is add a little oil to it. And I'm going to let that set in, and then I'm going to use like my little scrubber to scrub it out. Now, since this is, I can hear it simmering from the bottom, we're going to add our sauce. This takes, once you get started, once you've cooked the meats and everything, it takes all of maybe 10 minutes to cook. So you want to turn your heat up high now because you want this to hurry up and thicken without your vegetables going soft. Just gonna move it around a little bit. You don't want to ooh, that smells delightful. And like I said, your tomatoes are going to be the last things to go in because they break down really, really quickly. That's yummy. And what we're waiting for is for it to start boiling a bit. See some bubbles produce at the surface. Because we use cornstarch to thicken it. Not that much. Because cornstarch, even though it doesn't have that heavy flour taste, it still has a taste which takes away from your original seasoning. And as you can see on the sides here, it's starting to thicken up. We just want the sauce nice and thick. And once that happens, oh yeah. So now I'm going to add my tomatoes. Mix those right up in there. I don't know why I'm filming with my left hand when I am a lefty and I need to cook with it. There you go. And that is Hawaiian sausage. And it's done. And like I said, serve it over top of noodles or rice, and that's it. And it takes, I mean, with prep, maybe a half hour, but it's a really quick, really delicious, really cheap meal. All right, enjoy. And this should be your end result plate. Noodles on the bottom, yummy Hawaiian sausage on the top. Tomatoes and green pepper, onion, pineapple. It's yummy, ginger, garlic. It's really good. Hope you guys enjoy.